such an asshole!
Hey everybody, we're in the remote location, the remote office, the mobile office known as the car, and it's Asshole Consulting. So, hello Aaron, I've recently discovered your YouTube channel and I absolutely love the work you're doing and the advice you're giving. Brief background, I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, but I have been working as a software engineer for the past 6 or 7 years. I'm in my late 20s. I've been living and enjoying the minimalist lifestyle, and combining that with the fact that I'm unmarried with no children and no plans to have any, I really have more money than I know what to do with. All right, you're winning. You have won. You're not winning. You have won. You have passed the finish line even though there was no celebration. We're all winners, and plastic trophies for people who simply run the course. However, I've also always dreamt of being free from the reliance on some corporate employer in order to sustain myself. I actually have several ideas for self-employment income, but therein lie my main questions. How many entrepreneurial ventures should one try to build at once? I'll answer that right now. One. Just focus on one at a time. Because if it's just like women, we're perfect at multitasking. Yes, you do a lot of shit at the same time, equally shitty. Right? You do one thing at a time, put all your effort into it, because you just want to do it right, and you don't want to waste your time. You do multiple shit, it's like writing multiple books at the same time. It doesn't work. Do one thing at a time. And how do I know that an entrepreneurial venture isn't going to work out so that I abandon it and focus my efforts on something else? All right, well, that's a good question. Well, I use a couple techniques. One, I always like to trial balloon things. Perfect example, this isn't me, but it's a client that I had. This young gentleman somewhere in the country, I'm not going to say where, had this area of wilderness that he absolutely loved running around and hiking in, and it was a magical place for him. And he says, I want to create a resort here with cabins and a water slide and a rocket launch pad and a horse farm and a dog suit farm and a cat petting zoo and all this other shit. I'm like, whoa, hold on. So, and he was in a good position. I say, look, before you do all that, why don't you go find the lot, the piece of land that is most premier in that area, buy it, put one cabin on it, and see if you can get that one piece of cabin, that one piece of property to turn a profit. And then if that works, then maybe you buy another lot next door and you put another cabin in. All right? You do not want to be going in, buying all this shit, borrowing money you can't afford, all that other crap, and then have this whole big thing fall apart on you. All right? So there's ways for you to test it. Try a little aspect of it, or like maybe the core aspect of the business or the product or the idea you have. See if there's a way you could test that function. Then also see if there's other ways you could test other functions that are going to be required to support that company. Like, your payment system, supply lines. I mean, it really depends on your product or your idea. All this stuff, you want to find out why a company will fail. Your goal is to find every excuse as to why it will fail so you do not waste your precious time, not to mention your money, pursuing something that's going to not work. And so one of the best things I found is being able to float a trial balloon to see if the business will work. Another thing, this is a very important thing to do, is a lot of people may look at buying something, a business that already exists, or starting a business that already exists. There's already industry. Like, I want to start a bar. Okay, go to your library and get RMA data, Risk Management Associate data. You usually have to pay for it, but most libraries have it for free. And what it will do is it will show you, based on revenue ranges, revenue size of your company, what the average income statement looks like, what your average expenses look like, what your average profits look like. And a lot of times, there ain't no fucking profits. I had one guy who wanted to start a barber shop. And you're like, oh, I want to start a barber shop. And then I said, okay, do you want to start a barber shop because it's very profitable? There are no barbers in your neighborhood? There's a bunch of hairy, shaggy-looking dudes walking around saying, God damn, I wish I had a barber in town, but there is none. Or is this because he was black, that's the culture, and you watch too much fucking Ice Cube movies? Right? So it is not what you like. It is what people want. Right? And then another thing that you can do is you got to kind of open your eyes to it and keep your ears open a little bit. And this is how Asshole Consulting got its start. I kept getting questions. I'm like, I don't have time to answer this shit. And it was quite accidental. But if you're quiet and you listen to the world, it'll tell you what they want. So listen to people's complaints. Listen to say, oh, wouldn't it be great if this was here? Wouldn't it be great if that was here? And then all of a sudden, like, oh, wow, there's an economic opportunity there, right? But taking small steps methodically, constantly testing, constantly looking for a way that your business is going to fail. Not to be pessimistic, but you should be pessimistic because you don't want to waste your fucking time. So those are some other ways by which you go ahead and find out, oh, okay, is this going to work? No, all right, then we're done. All right, that's, silver dollar bikini. There's another example. I put very minimal investment. We'll talk about micro capital investments later. But, I produced, it didn't cost me much to produce. It cost me a couple $100 to put together the website and the IT background and all that other stuff. Got the prototype, and even when everything was all said and done, I wasted maybe 3 weeks of my life. And I can't even say a couple $100 on hosting costs, but then I was left with a bunch of silver. Although I have a bunch of this chain stuff and glue and epoxy, and I got to throw it away. So that's another thing you can do. I know you've mentioned in several videos that building a business can take years, but when is it time to call it quits with regards to a particular venture? All right, how long do you want to work at it? Depends on the product and the service you're selling. Like, shit, Amazon I don't think is profitable yet even. A lot of these companies, for example, the pharmaceuticals, they know they're going to have 5, 6, 7 years of losses with R&D, getting the FDA approval and all that. Versus for me personally, probably more along your lines, man, a year is enough. Because a year is going to test two things. It's going to test if your product is profitable and if you got the hustle and work ethic to be an entrepreneur. Right? You'll know whether something's going to take a while, how long it's going to take to get the business from concept to being in business and reality and profit. And so if it doesn't happen in a year, for me personally, my turnaround time is like, I got to have an idea. It's got to be up and ready and doable. And I'd say a month for me. But I'm a very impatient, minimalistic type of guy. All right, you may have a longer event, or you're a programmer. Maybe you want to develop an app kind of like writing a book. It may take you 2 or 3 years to develop that thing. But if you're in no rush, and okay, it's not costing you anything. It doesn't cost me. It's not like, the book isn't written today yet. Oh, I got to pay for all this overhead. That only goes for idiots who are stupid enough to buy bars and restaurants. So again, it does depend on the nature, but of the business that you're running. But for me personally, I'd say a month. For you or any small-time entrepreneur, if it's just an idea, you don't want to go become the next Samsung or something like that. Yeah, you don't want to piss away more than a year. I know many men, their women had coma money. Look it up. KHOMA. Keep her off my ass money. These girls formed their trinket stores and their bauble shops and their flowers. They're florists. Oh my God, we're delivering flowers because they're pretty. And no one's ever done that before. And I've seen them go 5, 10 years and you find out they're making jack fucking shit. All right? You set a year time. You say, okay, this is how long it's going to take to get this business off the ground. If I'm not making the profit day one after that time, then you don't pursue it anymore. Also, is there any way one can predict the feasibility of a potential venture before one dedicates one's time to it? No, not with 100% certainty. You should do all the research you can. RMA data, like I said, if you're already going into an industry that already exists, there is no way until you execute and pull the trigger where your bullet's going to hit the mark. There's no way. But that is the job of a good entrepreneur, is to eliminate as much unknown variables and risks before you start plopping down your time and money. Right? There's just no way. I mean, I thought Silver Dollar Bikini was going to do well, and then sure as shit, that didn't go well. It did all right. I can't say it wasn't profitable. It was profitable. It wasn't worth my time. And then I'm thinking, like, Asshole Consultant, who's going to fucking sign up for this? And all of a sudden, like, bam, you had no idea. So you don't know. You just don't know. I've seen people, we're going to do this housing development. And I'm like, that's not going to make any money. And surprisingly, it did. That happened once. Every other time I've been right. Which is sadly almost another rule you can go by, is if you are pessimistic about people and success, you'll be right 95% of the time. It's just that sad. Finally, how would one balance doing work one is passionate about with doing work that pays well. See, and now this is pertinent to your specific situation. Dude, you're a minimalist. You already said you got more money than you know what to do with. And so I would almost try to encourage you. I never discourage anyone from trying entrepreneurship. But you want. Like I said before, you want. Is your job annoying? Does it piss you off? Are you stressed out? Are you suffering mental damage? Or is it just the regular old boring job that every American has and it's just boring? It's just like that. I mean, unless your boss is abusive, a psychopath, or there's something else going on, I mean, you don't need to start a business. You're fine. You're happy. Now, I understand for intellectual purposes, or you don't want to be under the employ of your boss. Maybe you got a very independent streak in you like I do. But you never give up your daytime job. I think everybody in the YouTube community who made money on YouTube and thought they were going to make money forever playing video games, they're learning now that you always have a daytime job until you are not only so gainfully employed in entrepreneurial endeavor, but on entrepreneurial endeavors. You have multiple streams of income that if one goes down, you're no longer dependent. Yeah, that's fine. You can still survive. So what I would do in your case is I would put your effort, you keep your daytime job. Don't quit your day job. You're making great money. You told me how much you made. It doesn't sound like you hate it. And so what I would do is just keep plugging away. Because here's the thing, you're going to stand a very good shot of developing a fuck you money position, making the money you do over the course of 20 years. You could retire very early based on that income and how much you don't spend and how much you can sock away and then how little you need after you retire. So you may not have to do that. So it would only be for intellectual, mentally stimulating purposes. And so I would make sure that it would be fun. I would obviously make sure it'd be profitable. But I would be focusing on work so you don't ever lose that. Because if you lose your job and then your entrepreneurial idea fails, well, you're up shit creek. Maybe it would be easier to answer this question if you gave some personal examples in order of most passion to least passion. If you gave me some of your personal examples. I was so excited to hear you talking about the two-prong approach. I've actually been doing that myself. As stated before, I work as an engineer, but I've also been writing and producing music on the side. That's great. This is really my true passion, but so far I've only been making what is essentially just beer money. However, I haven't been doing it for long, so I don't know if it could take me to great lengths or flop completely. Either case, this is low capital, there you go, as I already have the equipment to produce the music. I garden. I could possibly see some potential in expanding this into a business, for example, selling en masse to landscapers or perhaps selling rare plants to other specialist enthusiasts online. Again, low capital due to the fact that I have space to grow plants, but since the plants take hell a long time, I think this could be something I could do in tandem with something else. I'm also good. I also like the fact it's diversified. Like you got a little bunch of little pots going on. That's fine. I'm also good with foreign languages. With dedicated effort, I could easily become proficient enough in one or more to lend some freelance translation work, which does not pay a lot, by the way. Although this approach ranks higher in the income department than music or gardening, you'd be surprised. It ranks lower on the passion scale, but still also low capital, and I wouldn't consider it waste of time even if this plan never came out. And lastly, I'm well aware of the fact that there's freelance software development work to be done out there, but honestly, I find it kind of boring. I picked engineering as a major because it's easy money and minimal effort, but sometimes I feel that freelancing in this field is the easiest way to independence, despite me not giving that much of a shit about it. Please forgive me if any of this message is rambling and incoherent. I've been drinking wine and marathoning your videos while writing this V. Okay. And by the way, you're in Ohio. Get the fuck out of Ohio and stop paying state and local income taxes. What the fuck, dude? I know you got your job. Okay. Those are all good things, and those would be the things I'd recommend you pursue. These hobbies that, with luck and with maybe a little bit more effort, would become alternative sources of income. But you know the music production. It's like, yeah, okay, are you going to become the next Aerosmith? Are you going to... You're gardening. Are you really going to make a lot of money? You're drop shipping. Well, everyone's doing that. And then what was your other one? And yeah, sadly, what might pay you a lot is doing and programming the next Angry Birds and doing software development on the side and making some money that way. What you have to remember, even if it's entrepreneurship, unless you're very lucky to have it be your passion, even entrepreneurs, it's a job. Your life is not your career unless you are really, really lucky. Your life is what you do outside of your career. Your friends, your family, your wife, your kids, your dog, your hobbies that you do for fun. And because here's the other thing that people won't tell you. I don't care how fun it is. Everything loses its novelty. For example, your wife. First time you met your wife or your girlfriend, like, man, I really want to bang her. This is great. You get your load off, like, this is awesome. 3-4 years go by, like, fuck, same girl. I mean, you get excited if she dyes her hair, you know? Then you start thinking, it'd be great to have a threesome. That would really be exciting. And then you're looking at other girls like, man, I'd really like to bang her. I really like to bang her. Doesn't matter how much you love your wife or your girlfriend, it's novelty. Or another example. Let's say you get to be the ice cream tester over at Eddie's Ice Cream. There's people that do this. I looked it up. This is long ago. This guy was paid $250,000. I think it was Breyers or Eddie's Ice Cream. He was their official ice cream tester. You think that's the greatest job ever. It is for like a year, and then you're sick of fucking ice cream. Which, you just think, who can be sick of ice cream? If you got to eat it every day, you got to fuck that same woman every day. You got to eat the same ice cream every day. You got a strict diet. Like, I hate my diet. Doesn't matter. I got to eat this shit every day. And, even the writing. You think, oh, wow, you're a writer. You know what? Writing gets tiring after a while. People think it's great being an author. And it is. Beats a cubicle job any day. But the novelty will wear off. All right, asshole consulting, love it, best job in the world. Still, wake up sometimes like, fuck, 8 questions? And they paid? Fuck! Like, I just want to sit and binge on video games every once in a while. So the point is, in the long run, it almost doesn't matter what you're doing, okay? Even if it's the most fun stuff ever, it's going to get tiring because that's going to become your new job. And you're just going to be flooded with it. Like, oh, I get to be a hiking guide. How great would it be to be a hiking guide in South Dakota? Well, if you hike the same fucking trails all the time, it gets a little boring. So what I would do is not so much concern yourself about your passion. Now, if you can make money growing vegetables, sure, go ahead. If you can make money selling your music, absolutely, go ahead. But what you want to look for in the long term is making the quickest amount of money for the least amount of time. You want the highest wage possible. Because what that's going to do is it's going to free you up sooner to really pursue your endeavor. Like right now, I mean, you think I can't do this in my cigar lounge because I'd be interrupting. But I got to come out to the car. But you know what? This is the most expeditious use of my time. And it is going to get me to my ultimate freedom, which is hanging out in my vineyard in South Dakota with my distillery and riding my motorcycle around and just living off of dividend incomes and royalty revenues from the books henceforth. It doesn't matter. That is the goal, or whatever your version of that is. So if that means you got to go and program code because you get paid $200 an hour, even if it's boring, guess what? Growing vegetables will be boring. Well, I got to spread the manure again. Writing music, god damn it, I got to sit here and think of some kind of riff, then I get the beat and get the juices flowing. Everything inevitably becomes work because the novelty wears off. Ice cream tasting, Beermeister, porn star. You think about that. Porn stars are sick of sex. Can you think about that? Like, how much sex do you got to have? Like, fuck, I got to go have sex again. It's true. It's true. Novelty wears off on everything. So I would not get so much concern about your entrepreneur. Don't do something that you hate. Like, if you can't stand the sight of blood, don't become a surgeon just because it pays more. That you don't want to do. But if it's something that you could do, something you have a gift, a skill, and you can do it, even though it's not the thing you wanted to do the most, it doesn't matter. If you can make $200 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever, if you could get quicker to that fuck you money position and then truly do what you want, that is what you got to do. So I know that's great. If you can have, the triple threat: passion, it's high paid, and low capital investment, awesome. Yeah, absolutely, go ahead and do it. But, man, as long as it fucking pays and you don't hate it, that's what I would do. So it really is like, yeah, you know what, man? You're a good engineer. You wouldn't be making that much money otherwise. Nothing wrong with that. But if you want something a little bit on the side for intellectual endeavors and to diversify your income, absolutely. But don't think it has to be something that you jump out of bed, because, yeah, you'll jump out of bed to go bang, your wife or your girlfriend the second time. You'll spring out of bed the third time. You'll get out of bed quickly the fourth time, and by the eighth time, you're like, fuck, ham sandwiches again. It's funny because it's true. All right, that's all we got. You guys got questions, go to assholeconsulting.com. It is a paid service. We do not run a charity. If you don't want to go to Asshole Consulting, you got emergency contact, get me on the Praxi app. Download Praxi app on your phone. You can find that in the Google Store or the iPhone Store. And I'm on Praxi, Praxey. You can contact me directly. It's over the phone. It's like FaceTime. But you pay. It's a paid service. We got my books. You can find them on Amazon.com. We have the Clarity Podcast on SoundCloud.com. And we have my blog, CaptainCapitalism.blogspot.com. We'll see you kids later. Toodles.